If you've never been to the Maryland Renaissance Festival, you don't know what you're missing. It's like a 16th century theme park with shops and pubs, music and performances, all just an hour from DC. The festival opens August 24th and runs Saturdays, Sundays, and Labor Day Monday through October 20th. Tickets are online only at MarylandRenaissanceFestival.com, and they're cheaper through September 8th, so get yours now, and I'll see you there.
So on Sunday afternoon, Ward 8 Councilmember Trayon White was arrested in Navy Yard by the FBI, of all people. And when I heard, I have to tell you, I was stunned. Other council members and the council chairman reported that they were also shocked. This kind of came out of nowhere. So today on CityCast DC, I'm here with Emily Davies of the Washington Post to lay out what White is accused of, what evidence the feds have, and what it all means for White's reelection bid this November. Today is Tuesday, August 20th. I'm Bridget Todd, and here's what DC is talking about. So like a lot of people listening, I was really stunned this weekend to hear about the arrest of Trayon White. What can you tell us about these charges?
I would say a lot of people are similarly stunned by the charges. We're reporting that Councilmember Trayon White accepted tens of thousands of dollars in bribes and in kickbacks in exchange for pressuring DC government employees to extend contracts that are supposed to help the city's most at-risk youth and adults. Now, this is according to court documents filed in federal court. So these are allegations. They've not, he's not been convicted of anything. But the evidence is pretty substantial.
And so that is particularly concerning given his status as the chair of the council's Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs, which oversees things like agencies including the DC Department of Youth and Rehabilitation Services.
Yeah, what you just said is a really important point. Trayon White is known in many ways in DC for his advocacy for people who are marginalized, who are vulnerable, who themselves have had a lot of exposure to the criminal justice system. And so to have him at the center of this story is jarring.
You talked about it was the bribes were tens of thousands of dollars. Like, how much money are we talking here specifically?
So in total, the affidavit alleges that he accepted $156,000 in undisclosed kickbacks and cash payments. In exchange for that money, Councilmember White said that he was going to pressure, coerce, whatever word you want to use there, DC government officials to extend contracts with a few different companies that do violence intervention work in the district. It was sort of using his government power to make financial contracts either happen in the first place or continue because of these bribes he was taking.
Right. Since he chairs that committee, that would kind of make sense that he would be the one who is, doing the pressuring and to be in a position to actually make that work.
Right. Now, it's unclear if he actually had any influence, which is an important point here. The court documents leave that an open question. He tells the head of one of these companies who was acting at the time as an informant for the FBI, Trayon White told him, hey, I've talked to some people, these conversations are underway, but it's unclear if those conversations resulted in anything material.
So the Olympics gave us a small taste, a soupçon of French culture. But now it's time to dive deeper and truly experience it for yourself. The Alliance Française of Washington, D.C. offers language courses tailored to every level. Fall sessions start on September 21st, and if you enroll by August 30th, you will receive a $20 discount. So if you've ever dreamed of ordering your morning cafe in perfect French or discussing art and history with ease, now is your chance. But it's not just about the language courses. A membership with the Alliance Française of Washington, D.C. brings you into a vibrant community that celebrates all things French. You get exclusive access to cultural events, wine tastings, film screenings, and more. Visit www.francedc.org to start your journey. And don't forget, sign up by August 30th and you'll get $20 off tuition when you enroll. The Library of Congress is bringing back its hit costume ball, and the free ticket lottery is open now. Grab your friends and come dressed in your favorite film-inspired attire on September 12th for the Library of Congress Film Costume Ball. The evening will feature a costume contest, live DJ playing iconic film scores, and themed food and cocktails. Guests can also explore treasures from the library's world-renowned collections of film, recorded sound, and performing arts, featuring legendary films such as The Wizard of Oz, Star Wars, and Cinderella. This event will sell out, so register now for the free ticket lottery at loc.gov/live. Who will you come dressed as? Elle Woods, Beetlejuice, James Bond? Start dreaming up your costume and enter the ticket lottery today at loc.gov/live.
So let's get into how he was caught, because something that nobody who knows me in real life would be surprised to know about me is that I live for a video where, like, someone doesn't know that they're being recorded, and that's going to be played back, and it's going to be evidence of their alleged bad behavior. There is video evidence of an informant ratting on him. Am I right?
That is right. Yeah. So the evidence included in the affidavit came from conversations that the FBI recorded between Councilmember White and an informant who owns various companies in D.C. that contract with the government to do this sort of violence intervention work. That person, who was not named in the filings, had pleaded guilty to fraud charges earlier, and as part of that deal agreed to cooperate with law enforcement. And so as a result, the evidence in the affidavit is just really detailed and quite visual. There were multiple photographs of Councilmember White on multiple different days in his Tesla and various parts of D.C., I guess, having these conversations with the informant, where it's alleged that he accepted envelopes of money and put them in his jacket pocket.
Yeah, so basically this person who says he was doing the bribing is testifying against White. Am I right? Really hard to come back from that.
We haven't heard much from him, but it's not looking great. It's a sad story. It's definitely making waves in D.C. I think it's shocked a lot of people. We're trying to figure out also the extent of this bribery scheme, if there are other government officials who are implicated. And, it's a pretty quick arrest by the feds.
Just how quick are we talking?
So these briberies were alleged to have happened this summer, and we're in August right now. So that is really, really quick, especially for a federal investigation. Now, U.S. Justice Department guidance says that officials shouldn't take any public steps in investigations involving politicians or candidates in the 60 days before an election. And White is scheduled to participate in a November election. So there's some people who believe that the timing is related to avoiding that 60-day window. That's why they move so quickly.
I think you were kind of touching on one of the reasons why this situation is just so jarring is because White is I guess I'll call it like a spicy character in DC politics and government. When did White first come on the scene?
White was first elected to the council in 2016, and he has been, he's been a character, as you said, ever since. He operates slightly differently than a lot of other politicians in DC. He feels like he wants to be seen as a boots-on-the-ground activist for the community, like a real spokesperson. I mean, he's really known by his supporters and loved by a lot of DC for being really boots on the ground. He shows up at crime scenes all the time when there are no other elected officials there. And he goes to the jail. He goes to the Youth Services Center. He takes calls about poor conditions at both of those facilities. And I think to many people, it seems like he really cares. He's also, he's generated some controversy over his time. He once posted a video that espoused a conspiracy theory that Jews control the weather. And he later apologized for that. In response to concerns about crime, he called for the National Guard to come into D.C. He ran for mayor a few years ago and lost with less than 9% of the vote.
He ran for mayor via Instagram caption. I remember that.
Exactly. That was how he launched his campaign. So I guess that sort of says it all about him. Like, he launched a mayoral race through an Instagram caption that says a lot about what people love and what people hate about him.
Everybody that I know who lives in his ward has told me that if you need anything done, small, whatever, how small it is, if you reach out to him, he gets it done. And I think that you're right, that like that is kind of the brand that he is trying to build. And so I've had other friends be like, how does this person get elected? How does he enjoy the support of his constituents? And I think that's got to be part of it. That's like definitely part of how he shows up in DC.
Yeah, he's really visible. He's really known. And he's easy to reach, I think, for many people. And as a politician in a community that has been so acutely overlooked, that really matters. And I think he, in many ways, has championed them in his Ward 8 constituents. Now, another part of this story that's coming out is it's possible that the council member didn't actually reside in Ward 8 anymore. The luxury high-rise at which he was arrested is actually in Ward 6 in the Navy Yard. It's close to Ward 8, but it's not in Ward 8. And so, I'm interested in how much more we're going to learn about his behavior.
Yeah, and I'm curious, other than like promoting anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories, what has his personality been like? And what has his role in council politics been like?
He's outspoken. I think he sees himself as a voice for people who are impacted by violence. You can actually even see that in these court documents. He says at one point, I have sway in the council when it comes to matters of public safety. I'm seen as an authority on those issues.
Oof, not something that you would want to have on the public record and then later be accused of taking bribes.
Right, exactly. And Chairman Mendelson, the head of the council, has sort of expressed his dismay about these charges and said he's going to take Councilmember White off the Committee on Recreation, Libraries, and Youth Affairs and, is going to launch an ad hoc committee to really assess the evidence against him and figure out what the council should do in response. Mendelson said it appropriately, I think, that this is a hit to the city's trust in the city council. And so that's a big deal, and that is going to matter, and it's a storyline to watch.
So this is actually not the first time he has been under scrutiny. He was under scrutiny this summer twice for violating campaign finance laws. What's the story there?
Over the summer, Councilmember White won the Democratic primary for his seat, in which he faced two challengers. But that victory in some ways was tainted by some controversy with campaign finance. The campaign finance office in D.C. fined him $40,000 for his 2022 mayoral campaign and 2020 reelection campaign, saying he had failed to provide requested documentation to correct discrepancies involving like thousands of dollars that he reported in various expenditures and contributions. He had appealed the fines associated with the 2020 campaign, and a spokesperson for the office said that the issues with his mayoral campaign had not yet been resolved. So, he's not a total stranger to this line of inquiry. But again, it's just important to note that what came out yesterday and what's continuing to come out today is just at a totally different scale.
So how long should we maybe expect this whole thing to take?
Well, Councilmember White was released from jail yesterday, and a hearing was scheduled in his case for September 19th. So I think it's fair to say that this will be a long, drawn-out process, certainly longer than I'm sure he would like to see. And in that period of time, we're looking to understand if others are implicated in this mess and what the mayor has to say about it, and even more from the city council. So it's going to be a storyline that's unfolding.
So as I was describing earlier, everybody that I know who lives in his ward, they love White. Like, he was expected to just cruise to victory in his reelection bid this November. I know that it's too late for another Democrat to get on the ballot now, but what does this mean for the election?
I think that's a really good and open question. I mean, you're right. He was expected to just win almost without any single question. And now, I mean, I think the council is going to be forced to consider whether they'll expel him or force him to resign, in which case, we just need to see what happens here. But if the election were to be held today and he was on the ballot, I mean, I think people expect him to win.
Well, Emily, thank you for being on it. Strange, strange times in D.C.
Yes, they are.
That's all for today here on CityCast DC. Now, don't worry, because this is a story we're going to keep covering. Text us your questions to 202-642-2654. You can also leave a voicemail at that number, 202-642-2654. We'll be back tomorrow morning with even more news from around the city. Talk to you then.